for the nerds. This is for the brainiacs. This what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back. You ain't gonna touch me. You not gonna do nothing. You are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, I'm here with my only friends, and my boy Tortue is in the building today. You know, my man.
You're in the building today.
I was finding out what Tortue was doing today. You know what he said? He said, I'm going to go register for the 1600 tomorrow.
I said, got to get there early, man. You got to get there early if you want to play on time and not wait in line.
Why?
You broke Berkey.
Why are there Moroccos?
No, they got little tortoises on
Yeah,
them.
the
See?
little Tortugas.
Nobody can fucking see that.
Well, now they know.
Guapo, help the people out.
I got him.
All right, you know, because, you know, the little Tortugas, you know, we found them in the Bahamas, and, you know, we had to bring them back for the pod. Yeah, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
You see, look, now everybody knows about the Tortuga shakers.
I mean,
We're on and popping in here.
look at where your eyes are directed. You look like you're up to no good.
Well,
Look at your eyes, Landon. We can't see your eyes.
I know. I figured out that it's not the feeling of dread. It's just
I
a
gotta tell
sinus
ya,
infection.
You look good,
You look
cuz.
good. Thanks. I'm going for the in-between of winter sports and summer attire here with the flip.
I think
with
those
the,
glasses
with the,
they look so good on you that I'm afraid I might not get them back.
wow.
wow.
Have you met a snowboarding mama yet that's gonna get you out on the slopes?
It's possible.
I need
You need this.
I need someone to ride with. I can't. I've
Find
wasted
your
the
own
winter.
muscle mommy snowboarding queen.
The only thing that I think about
That's what
when
I'm
I
on the
think about
prowl for.
Landon and snowboarding is Landon going outside in like shorts, no fucking socks, and like a t-shirt. Like, I'm ready to go, guys.
That's W Riz, baby.
Impeccable. I didn't have thermals when we went that one day.
No,
I
you
just wore
didn't.
them
But you
out
didn't leave the
hardware.
bunny hill either. So like, you literally could have been in a t-shirt and shorts and been fine.
Yeah. I'll get there.
You might find a bunny on the bunny hill.
All I found was nothing. I didn't find the will to snowboard more than 3 times.
No, he didn't. He sat at the top. When I call this a hill, I mean it's
bump, a little
it's a
bump?
big exaggeration.
Where'd you guys go?
We were in Tahoe, but
There's a gradient.
yeah, there on the Nevada side, there's this very small side area that they have for the instructors.
Oh, I think, okay, I know what you're talking about.
It's so small that it doesn't have a lift.
Oh.
It just has a conveyor belt that takes you up, which that's not that uncommon, but just know that they only use the conveyor belts when it's a very small amount of distance,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, you know, you could walk up it and not get gassed. And I was taking them up. Honestly, it's like, it's kind of a terrible place to learn if you've ever been on a snowboard at all. Like, Melissa has snowboarded once or twice before. So for her, it was useless because the gradient is so flat that you can't pick up enough speed to actually, like, I fell down it 3 times.
Is it like the same as like the tubing?
Same conveyor.
Right, because when
A
we,
third the
Yeah,
distance.
oh, it's not even as steep as the
Literally 1/3 the distance.
Oh wow, yeah.
The one in Park Slope was pretty small, too.
Park City, yeah. That's what when we went
Park
tubing.
City, yeah.
We went up the conveyor belt
No, it wasn't a conveyor belt. It was a ski
No,
lift.
that was the conveyor belt was for tubing.
for tubing.
Brian didn't come skiing with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I meant for tubing. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Toward
no, the
tubing-
one in
toward
Park City
tubing?
is not.
tubing.
It gets open at the end.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
That's a legit run.
Yeah, I guess.
What I'm talking about is not.
No,
It's
this
like,
was not that.
You would get bored sled riding down it, for sure. Like, considering how slow the conveyor belt is to get back up
Yeah.
it, and how short of a ride it is down, you would get bored very quickly.
I definitely was not feeling it that
But
day.
it's a good place to like learn the techniques of what to do.
Yeah.
If you've literally never been on a board before, like Henry and Landon,
Yeah.
he was just over it.
How was Henry on the board?
Landon had the highest upside, like, for sure, without question. It was clear Melissa had done it before, but like his technique for having never stood on a board before was actually by far the best of the 3.
I was cooking.
Henry was okay. He couldn't he kept saying he just wanted to send it down the hill. And I was like, okay, well then just do it. Like it's literally nothing. You're not going to hurt yourself.
I'm just going to send it down the 2-foot gradient.
And then every time he would just bail 1 second in. But no, I think he would have been fine. Like the idea would have been that we go on a green run the next day. So that they can actually get into the open on a decent grade, fall for real.
Yeah.
And kind of get used to it. And I think Henry would have been fine. I actually think Landon would have been fine too, but
yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
I was trying to.
You did try.
I was trying to so I unstrapped and I was actually maneuvering them down the hill, and I was trying to show them front edge versus back edge, and when I kept trying to navigate Henry, he was just only interested in going whatever the opposite direction was that I was trying to show. And I'm like, no. Oh, whatever, just go.
There's a lot of stretching you probably have to do prior. I remember, you could strain your groin pretty easily on a snowboard.
No, you're fixed.
Well,
Skis, you could strain your groin.
It's your back.
Landon, you look dark side right now.
Yeah,
I don't like this hood up. You absolutely
Very
look
dark side.
like an idiot. You look completely normal and fine. I mean, you looked a little douchey, but total W Riz with the hood down.
You don't like the hood?
You look like an idiot.
Well, look, you just gotta test things out as they go.
All right.
Trial and error.
Yeah, trial. This sinus infection is kind of annoying, but the glasses actually help because this light is right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's
bright light. I'm like a gremlin right now.
You don't gotta explain it away, man. You look fresh. You know
what I think about people that cry about sinus infections?
Don't do
Big
it.
crybabies.
There's no crying. It's just what it is.
Welcome back, Conrad. We've missed your positivity and
hashtag positivity.
Your
Special
amazing influence on
positivity.
I feel bad making fun of him now because I thought at first it was just the word special, but now I hear him talk and I recognize it in every word that has an
you guys
S.
are literally making fun of somebody that has a speech impediment his whole life. How do you feel? I didn't speak till I was 3. You guys should feel like real pieces of shit. Twitter's gonna come after you for this one. You guys just
Man,
he's not wrong.
I'm kind of scared because I'm pretty sure there's a story of Einstein not being able to speak and not speaking intentionally until he was 3 or 4.
Uh-huh.
The guy had nothing to say. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, I got shit to say.
You're just the next Einstein. I can make fun of his speech.
I might go the other route, just stop speaking altogether now.
You're just done.
Just over it, man. Can't take it anymore. So how was New York, Connie?
Oh, shit was popping. It was good.
Yeah,
Spent some time with wifey.
Take the wifey out for Valentine's.
Yeah, well, she took me out.
Jesus Christ.
Must be nice.
What an incredible.
We had a great time.
What an incredible life you live. I mean,
we had a good time.
Yeah.
We got to play with a puppy. Our puppy's the best. She's a little crazy girl. She's 5 years old and she just wants to be rubbed all the time.
Yep.
So you've been in Vegas for 4 years now?
No, longer.
5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been in Vegas for 5 years. You've been in this relationship for 13.
Yeah.
And you guys are 3,000 miles apart.
Yeah.
And never see each other.
Once every other month.
This is a dream.
Wow, Berk.
This is the best relationship I ever heard in my life.
Berkey's jealous.
Very sustainable. Just
it is.
pick random trips throughout the year, travel together, and then call it quits.
It's pretty great, honestly.
Yeah. Good for you, man. Good for you.
All right.
What's next on the agenda?
I'm here at the podcast, at the Only Friends podcast, because there's poker down the block. There's the Only Friends podcast here, and I go back and forth every
That's
day.
good because I don't know if you know this, but we pay you now, and ever since you started getting a check, you stopped showing up.
I know, it's kind of funny. I started thinking about that too. I was like, damn, ever since I started getting paid, I've been to 12 podcasts.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's he hasn't been here for
how
a week.
happy
He's like, hey,
laughter.
can I get that payment?
yeah.
So much laughter to be had here.
It's I was just getting back. It was back payment, What do you call that?
For,
what do you call back payment?
What are we back paying for exactly?
It's just the beginning.
The laugh track? What was there
it was
$250 charge for a laugh track?
And by the way, that laugh track is pretty fucking expensive. You know how much I would charge for my laugh track? At least 6 figures.
I feel like you would have to
fine.
charge
You go
for
ahead
the
and just put it
laptop.
on the tab, big guy.
All right.
How about
All
that?
right. So now you're on my tab. The tab is just switched.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize. Guapo, did you put it?
I already had it.
Wait, but you put it over his actual can of Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Look at that straw.
great.
Like the straw is perfectly on there.
No, that's actually the
That's
straw.
what I'm saying.
That's the
Yeah,
straw.
it's the real straw. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh man, welcome back. It's fucked
Did I
up.
put
You
it right
gotta,
back?
you gotta
All right,
move it
perfect.
on him.
I had to make sure I put it in the exact spot. I didn't want to fuck up Guapo's
No, you missed
work.
him a little bit, but he'll take
gotta
care of
commit
it.
to
A little
the
to the
Yeah.
right.
A little to the right.
Guapo, you're doing the Lord's work. All right, we have a podcast to do today.
Last one of the week.
That what we do here?
We're going to talk about some things. It's actually it's been a big streaming week for cash games in general, I would say.
Yeah,
And maybe maybe it hasn't been that big of a week, but it's been a notable week because it's probably the first week I can remember in quite some time where it hasn't just been Hustler that's been the must-see TV.
Right.
Live at the Bike did a week with Robbi, culminating yesterday in a 50-100 game. I believe Frankie from Next Gen Poker played. Johnny Vibes played. Mickey played. This guy's weird, man.
Dude, don't. Nah, you're gonna.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, no,
call
that's
him.
why I'm doing it. This guy talks shit for no reason. I didn't say anything mean about him, but
Yeah, some creature.
he just. I like Mickey.
Mickey's great. Yeah.
I do,
Very entertaining.
but I also don't understand him at all. So I don't think he was meant to play yesterday. He randomly decided to hop in and play, which is great. But he brought 10K. I don't get it, man. Where are these fucking duffel bags of cash? Like, let's fucking get in the mix. So he was there for 20 minutes before he got eradicated, and the game played on. Game went on without him. I didn't see any of the final results. I didn't see like how Robbi played or anybody else. I saw Johnny actually played a tough hand. Well, maybe not that tough. He bet folded trips on the river where a flush had come in, and Ozzy Al, of course, had the nuts because that's my guy, Mr. Nuts himself.
Mister, I have the nuts all the time.
Good guy to be. Can't
yeah.
lose that way.
Yeah, but I didn't really see how anything else played. I'd like to kind of go back and watch it a little bit because I'm curious if, when the stakes are a little bit smaller, if Robbi's a little bit more in the mix. I really don't know how to explain this phenomenon. I mean, she's just like a completely different human being
I mean,
than what we saw in Hustler.
that's kind of to be expected a little bit, isn't
How?
it? What do you mean how? Look what just happened
I'm
to
just gonna
this
keep my
girl.
mouth
But like, how could you ever go from being the type of player that would click raise? It's not like it was
Okay,
a one-off.
how could this happen? Well, from that point, all the things that happened in between her playing, that's how.
No,
I mean, like,
but
her
why?
game-
Why that doesn't influence how you play the game?
Sure it does. You
Okay.
think she's not a little gun shy after all that?
How could you just stop thinking about the game the way that you think about the game and turn into an old man coffee? Is my question.
I mean,
Like, no matter how much criticism comes across the board for any players, no matter who they are, be it Phil Hellmuth or an old man coffee type who gets criticized on a stream or whatever the case may be, no matter who you look at, zebras don't change their stripes.
I mean, look
if
at
they're
Phil.
loose, they're loose. If they're tight, they're tight.
We give Phil so much shit, and then he did the no look. No look. Ace King.
Yeah, tight stayed tight. I mean, like, tight stayed tight, loose stays loose. Like, it's very difficult to just pull a complete and utter 180.
Bill wasn't so tight with those kings.
They're kings. He had kings.
On a 4 flush board?
Yeah, but he's an old man
That's
coffee.
the
Like, he
problem.
was just over emotionally invested in a hand that was really strong.
That was really weird. That was really weird situation. Like, I was really like, wait, what the
That
fuck?
hand exactly?
Yeah, like, wait, what
Nah,
the
he
fuck
wanted out of there, man.
just happened?
I know that feeling. I've been there before where like you're getting your face kicked in and you finally feel like you're in a really opportunistic spot where you have a profitable hand and the board just like runs out in a way where it fucks you. And it's like you have this you have this sunken cost mentality of like, well, this is going to be the last decision I make today. I can promise you that. And it's either going to be right or wrong. If it's right, I'm going to be emotionally relieved, and maybe I can play well thereafter. If it's wrong, I'm fucking out of here.
Berkey, you would never fucking put another dollar in that river.
No, of course, but I'm saying I know like what it, I know the mentality.
right.
Like
Yeah,
I
of
played a
course,
hand like this first Garrett, where he was immediately to my left, and he had just been God moding that session, but I didn't realize it. I felt like he was just like absolutely destroying me. I felt like I was just getting massively outplayed.
Yeah.
But I went back and watched, and it's just like he had the hands over and over and over again,
Which is more frustrating.
Right. I 4-bet him with kings, and so it went like I open kings, he 3-bets, Eric Hicks cold calls the 3-bets, I 4-bet, they both call, and then it comes like 9 high, all hearts, and I have kings with the king of hearts, and I c-bet and Garrett raises, and I just remember that feeling of like, well, fuck it, I'm going broke here. I like, if he flopped a flush, God bless this guy. Like, I've had enough. And like, I went into that mentality of just like, my hand, it's a 4-bet pot with kings. My hand is worth way too much. Like, I don't care. But we were giga deep. We were like, 3 or 4 pots deep whenever, or maybe more, maybe like 5 pots whenever we arrived to the flop. Yeah. And I bet like quarter he raises, whatever. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Nothing fucking raises here. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I know this feeling.
And I'm just like, whatever. I'm trapping at this point as far as I'm concerned. So I Hicks folds, I call, turns like the ace of spades, and it goes check, check. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, he has no offsuit ace X in his range, so he doesn't have the naked ace of hearts. I go, okay, he must have flopped the nuts, and like now he has the board crippled. So he's going to check back because he's like, whatever. I think the river may have paired or maybe it bricked. I don't remember. And I checked again and he just jammed for like pot and a half. And I finally came back around to like, okay, logic is going to allow me to escape here. But like emotionally, I want to just punt off all my chips.
Yeah.
So I ended up folding and he just had 9s where he flopped top set. And I was like, okay, like whatever. But if I were more irrational in that moment, I would have just like rocketed it off either on the flop or on the river.
Yeah, there are definitely times in other tournaments or situations where, for me, that'll happen where I know in theory my hand's indifferent, but playing versus an obscure line where someone finds a check raise, finds a turn barrel on a card that people don't normally barrel, and then jams, where I'm looking at a hand, I'm like, oh, I know this isn't different in theory, but practically they have it every time, no matter what it is, it just exists. Yeah. And trying to think I've folded too much today, I've gotten raised too much today, I'm just going to put the money in because I know it's indifferent and go home, even though I know this is actually torching, is a very real thing. And it's easy to go full circle and say, oh, I know my hand's indifferent in theory, but it's actually just coping with what you already know to be true.
Yeah.
And being like emotionally
people
invested
like,
as
yeah,
a
they
human.
let their emotions get the best of them a lot of times, where it's like a guy might just fold for like an hour or 2 hours, and then all of a sudden he raises 4 pots in a row, and someone thinks they're just getting out of line. And on the 5th time he raises, they just like punt it off, and you're just like, and he just shows up with aces. It's like, this guy raises every hand. They're like, no, he just got dealt 5 good hands in a row. It happens. Yeah, but people just get so emotionally charged and then make these huge mistakes.
Yeah, so I guess like bringing that full circle back to the Robbi conversation, it's like what would have been easy to take away from the Hustler streams that we saw her play is that she plays based off of sheer emotion, right? So like, give her the benefit of the doubt. Nothing nefarious happened. She was just playing off of like pure and utter emotion, right? Mm-hmm. Fine. If that's the case, so be it, right? Fast forward now to the bike. What happened? I don't understand. Like how, and maybe this is just like the evolution of a newer player that I'm too far removed from to see.
Yeah, she also could have got a lot of like maybe like coaching. And
coaching would not do this though.
Bad coaching would.
I mean, I guess. But
but I mean, like maybe it was like as simple as like you should really tighten up, and people are gonna think you're crazy. And
but bro,
she's
like
for it.
She's like
and
folding
then when you get it, just jam it in like she did with the queens. You know
no,
what I mean?
but like the Queens was the only time, and there were many situations where like she could have been all in with top tier hands pre and wasn't. Like Queens being a good example. She called a 3-bet, called a 4-bet. Never putting in an aggressive action.
Mm-hmm.
She had ace king post flop multiple times in like 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet pots where she flopped like a ton of equity and just mucked.
And she was never the aggressor in any of those hands.
Right. And like that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you go from like calling Jack 4 off pre, floating flop,
like
turning nothing?
She also might be gun shy to take a marginal hand and just go with it because of what happened. I'm just saying, if you're giving her the benefit of the doubt,
we're far removed from marginal when we're talking about ace king.
We don't know what she considers marginal.
You know what? We're missing what happened in the middle. There was hustler. There was what happened on the bike the last couple of days, and then in the middle, she was playing blackjack and did not fucking hit on a 12 or a 13 when the dealer was showing a king. All right, and I saw this with my own goddamn eyes. So
okay, but like to me, that aligns with how she's playing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's risk aversion.
Yes,
right?
That's risk
and
aversion.
she played very risk averse in all these live at the bike sessions. That's the whole point I'm getting at, is you can't go from being so risk on that you're click inducing with Jack high on 10, 10, 9, 4 or 10, 10, 9, 3. You can't go from like click inducing calling off risk on type of profile to risk off where you're just check folding to 20% pot with ace king on Jack 10, 9.
It's just not a thing.
Right. And like, it's not like the Jack 4 was a one-off in this behavior, right? We saw her do the same thing with whatever the ace high hand was versus
I think she had ace king.
She had ace king versus
in position.
Yeah, versus Eric. I don't remember what he had, like a worse ace high or something like that, but she like basically value clicked ace king high on like, you know, a 7-6-3-2 board or something like very innocuous, where it's like, okay, what the fuck has happened where we're raising that hand for value versus like just check folding to 20% pot?
The woman is an anomaly. I don't think we're ever going to figure her out.
No, I agree with that.
I know exactly what just happened. True colors are being shown now. You had a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little assistance before. I don't know.
I don't know if it's that. Honestly,
like
I don't know if it's an indication of cheating or any sort of behavior that like corroborates all of the conspiracies that are out there. But again, much like the Jack 4 hand, I think that it's just like noteworthy that it appears to be anomalous.
I feel much better after seeing that and what's happening on the bike about my takes previously. That's all I know. It feels great. And like, cause you're like, we're never going to have any proof or anything about that situation that happened. Like whether it was not cheated or cheated, we're just going to always sit on this like cliff. So like, you kind of like bring yourself to like your own realization, and you guys got to keep it to yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
and here, this helps.
For all I know, when it comes to the scale of 0 to 100, from the risk aversion to non-risk averse, we saw two very different versions of the same person that were at roughly, call it 100, if you're going to call the Jack 4 hand what it is, right? The min raise, call off Jack high, and then the overfolding, where now in a single raise pot with Queen Jack on Queen XX, it's just finding a fold to a single bet. Like, there are things that don't necessarily align, and there's not like there's going to be the conclusive answer or evidence, but it's something to think about as to how different things can be in such a short amount of time. And if you want to call it improvement, not improvement, saying playing solid, not playing solid, they're both not great ways of playing poker.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you just have Queen Jack on Queen XX, just peel one. Might make two pair.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Queen high. Yeah.
She just no, not Queen high.
No, the board was Queen high.
She just check folded
Queen Jack
to
on the Queen
one
board.
bet on like Queen XX. And granted, it somehow was like miraculously correct.
Oh, she had Queen Jack, right?
Yeah, she had Queen Jack. She just defended the big blind, single raise pot, checks to JD. JD C bets.
JD bets 5K into 6. Yeah,
and she just check folds Queen Jack on like Queen 8-4.
Yeah, that's pretty.
It's just like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
Smack me twice, please, because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I just think like the only explanation to everything that has ever like come out is like Garrett accidentally flashed his hand. Like that's just the end all be all answer to everything is like Garrett accidentally flashed his hand.
I guess Jaffe wants to know if he can call in from an Uber in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We're getting Will Jaffe from the Uber.
The Uber. I would love nothing more.
Listen,
we'll send you a link.
Okay, Will, you are the best because you mentioned Solve for Why so many times while Berkey was playing. As the manager, I'm like this.
He's doing a really good job.
Like, I don't know how much of how ironic he was being, or he was just saying, "Man, lead instructor of Solve for Why, Matt Berkey."
Like I didn't watch it all, but I watched a decent amount, and it seems like Will's doing a pretty good job. Like he's got his own stick going,
right? Yeah.
The driver,
right.
You know, he's having a good time.
Speaking of that, you guys should climb up on a ladder and jump down and smash the like button.
Wow. Climb up on a ladder, jump down. You know what? I just smashed that fucking like button.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Okay,
I think it works. Yeah, it works. Do the people's elbow under the like button.
What was the driver reference?
Yang.
Oh, the professional.
Yeah.
Professional driver.
The professional. Oh, wait, here's what's okay. I don't want to go too far into this, but I thought this was fucking hilarious. Everybody was like, or Maria was asking him like, you know, what do you drive? Like, what are you? What's your? Why is the camera on Conrad? What's going on?
Because I'm the prettiest one in the room. Just
He's
leave
not
it.
talking.
I'm trying to set up my boy Jaffe over here.
Okay. So Maria was like, you know, oh, you're a race car driver. Like, what do you drive or whatever? And English is clearly a second language, but he was able to converse a little bit. He goes, oh, rally car. And I look at him, I go like, oh, like dirt tracks. And he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like dirt tracks. Like you don't drive NASCAR in a circle. Like you do off-roading. And he just looked at me like, no. And then Ozzy Al was like, no, that's not what rally car is. It's like round and round in a circle. I go, no, I don't think so. And we keep debating it for like 15 minutes while this guy is supposedly a professional rally car driver, never corrects anybody. I had to go home the next day and Google it to see that I was right. And rally car is like off-road.
That's great.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? This guy is not a fucking race car driver, man. He's been on the goddamn street studying PO for the last decade.
Mm-hmm. Did you see well, I forgot the hand history, but when, what's his name has a set and he has the ace of spade in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes for it.
It wasn't a set. It was a flush.
Flush.
Oh, I'm sorry. He has a flush. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
went
had
for it.
Yeah, of course. He knows what he's doing. I've never seen anybody put in more money with ace 4 and ace 5 suited except for Landon.
I love ace 5.
This guy played more 4 and 5 bet pots with fucking ace wheel than you have in your young career.
I don't know, man. I played a lot of 4 and 5 bet pots.
Man, when I was watching that hand live, I was like, man, this guy never has a flush, really, does he?
No.
It just never has a flush.
We talked about it yesterday. He has like 3 flush combos.
Yeah, and the flushes, because when he has 3-4, it's just like, hey, those are most of his flushes here. And this is an easy call, but I don't know. That was an interesting
I
hand.
trolled him very hard for how long he took.
We heard. It was great.
I mean, the thing is, I think it comes off mean, but like it was very much in good fun, and like we were just poking back and
it
forth.
came off as in good fun.
So it's funny because like I didn't turn up the volume until I was reading the chat, and like it comes off fine, but people take it wrong.
Well, that's the thing. Like we know Berkey.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the general public take, because we understand where Berkey's coming from, and it's all in good fun.
That's
like,
exactly what I was thinking.
Does the general audience and the general public like know that, or they're just like, this guy's a dick?
Well, here's the thing: when I throw zingers at Helmuth, they love it.
Right.
When I throw a zinger at Lynn or Ozzy Al, they hate me.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I'm just gonna be me, man.
Hey, you know, just
I should probably only talk to white males.
No.
The joke's gotta fly.
The joke's gotta fly, as you can clearly see here. But yeah, anyway, what I was getting back to is this was a big week for stream poker, and it culminates today in the sense that for the past maybe year, Hustler's really dominated the scene, and nobody else has really put out a comparable stream that will drive eyeballs. Be it the lineups, be it the production, be it the amount of money being gambled. Hustler's pretty much won in that arena the entirety of 2022. And this specific week, for whatever reason that it all came together this way, it kind of got challenged in a bit of, in very different ways, right? So the bike challenged them a bit. And granted, Hustler still won viewership-wise, but the bike increased their viewership significantly this week.
Yeah.
By featuring Robbi, by featuring Helmuth. And
featuring you.
Also by featuring Jaffe, like bringing in a heavy hitter into the commentary booth to kind of navigate through this shit show of
whatever it was
of a parade that we're doing here, bringing these personalities out. It was a very important molding of many aspects together, right? Like lineup curation, solid commentary. They made some production increases or improvements. I didn't actually watch it. How was the improvement with the sound? Were you still hearing like a lot of chip shuffling, or was it better?
Oh, honestly,
the sound was great. We could hear the.
I was gonna say, if you didn't notice it, then it's definitely better.
Really well. There was an issue with graphics.
Yeah.
Which that's solvable. That's very easy. It could have just been a new person working, or I don't know what it was, but like, yeah, the graphics are behind and wrong a lot.
How often were these graphics
happens.
wrong? Because maybe she didn't have Queen Jack on that Queen High board.
Yeah.
No. Well, I don't know.
For someone who does graphics, I understand if you know, if it was like someone. If things can go wrong, so like I get it. But.
Well, Johnny was saying that when his graphics were wrong, when he had trips, and it said that he didn't have trips, it was an error from the shuffle before.
Right. He said that it's anecdotal basically, but he said his graphics have been misread 3 times between Hustler and Live at the Bike, and all 3 times it was a lag from the previous hand. Yeah. And it makes the most sense for that to happen on the bike, because what happens is that they're being fed the graphics hours later, or whatever the delay's on, right? Mm-hmm. So they're laying it over many minutes after it actually had happened. And it's very easy, if a hand doesn't get read somewhere or whatever, for the person in the studio to say like, oh, I must be on the wrong hand, right, and go back one, or whatever the case may be. So that makes a lot of logical sense to me. It also kind of disproves that Mattisau saying that Helmuth 100% had ace-10 that hand on Hustler, where it's like, well, the previous hand he didn't have ace-10, and it seems very strange that the hand would just change from like ace-10 to king-10. I mean, both very meaningful on that board.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. It can happen. Like if the dealer pitches the card, the second card, and it's a king, and it's supposed to go to the person next to him, and it just goes over his reader, both the cards, it could get read that way.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it did. It happened in...
right, but then the other person will have no cards.
No, the other person would have a different hand. That's how it happened. So if the other person... the other person, the hand
he would have an unread hand.
Right. His hand wouldn't read. That's what happened.
We would know when that happens.
Correct.
Right.
And so if all the hands
if everybody
got read,
has hands, that's obviously not the case.
And that's not the case.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know how we got off on that side tangent, but
well, it's us.
Sure.
We're good at that.
But what I wanted to talk about was this $1 million cash game that PokerGo is putting on today, because this is one of those things where it's pretty unique, man. Like,
a lot of money.
We like to pretend like this has happened a bunch, because we've seen massive games, especially over the last 18 months, between the influencer game that ran on Hustler. I think we saw something like 1.5 million lost in that game, which is a huge amount.
It's such a weird thing to make such big numbers sound like they're normal. Like $1.5 million is a lot of dollars, but it sounds like, oh yeah, classic live stream game, $1 million buy-in, X here.
It's funny because like a lot of these games, like, people buy in for a lot, but not all the money changes hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but like when you're playing 200, 400, you don't expect there to be a 500K winner.
Yeah. Exactly.
Really, ever. Like looking back throughout all my years in high stakes when I was playing in Ivy's Room and stuff like that, the amount of times I won $1 million in a game where I could count them on one hand, right? And the amount of times I lost $1 million was 0. And we were playing 3-6-12.
Yeah.
So $1 million was less than 10 buy-ins. It was only 8 buy-ins. The amount of times throughout my career in like 5, 10, 10, 20, all these uncapped games that I won 10 buy-ins are so endless, right? Something happens once you start to achieve, house status. Like the money goes in a little bit more carefully,
right?
And more importantly, like the biggest losers don't just stick around to go off for 10 buy-ins. They're only good for 4 or 5 or whatever they have in front of them. Almost always. This is the other thing. So like we talk about it a lot, but I don't think people understand the true landscape of high stakes poker. I think that they think that everything just scales accordingly and it's all linear in nature. So like if you're playing 5-10, you have 200 buy-ins or 1,000 buy-ins, whatever you consider to be properly rolled, and it's always going to be available to you. So like there's never going to be a situation where you're not liquid in a game and you can always keep playing. And then whenever we start to see high stakes and people bust out in a session and leave or whatever the case may be, there's a lot of feedback from the chat where they're just like, oh, you don't have it, you don't have the roll, blah blah blah. It's like, well, you don't understand, like this is the nature of the landscape. It's not that you don't have the theoretical role, it's you don't have the physical money on you, and this happens all the time with VIPs.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you just lost $200,000-300,000. Who cares?
Yeah, you can bring $10,000-$20,000 to a 5-10 game, but now scale that up times 100.
Right. Say you have 10 million available to you, which a lot of these hedge fund guys do.
You're just gonna roll in there with a suitcase.
Well, it's not even that, right? So say you have 10. Say like Johnny Hedge Fund has 10 million that he's willing to gamble with, right? And he rolls into town and they're advertising a 100-200 game. So to be cautious, he sent $500,000, right? And that's what he has available to him to play 100-200. Infinite money as far as the buy-in structure is concerned, right? It's a 20K minimum buy-in, let's call it. And then he sits down and everybody buys in for 100. The game's playing relatively deep. Straddles are plenty. And he wants to kind of get swept up in it. So he buys in for 100. Well, now he has 5 buy-ins. Now the game switches to 2-4 and the straddles are continually going. 4 hours in, he's bust because he's effectively playing with 2.5 buy-ins and he's ill-prepared. So now he wants to continue playing. But he has no access to more money, but everybody knows he has 9.5 million available because he's Johnny Hedge Fund.
Right.
So now in order for the game to continue, or for Johnny to continue to play in the game, I should say, somebody has to have the liquidity to lend to him and be willing to take on that risk. And this, going back to peeling back the curtain of what goes on behind the scenes when it's not on stream, this is how the games exist in the private entity. It's why they're so much more popular than the stream games, because you had guys like JRB or Robbi or whatever that were willing to facilitate all of these VIPs and be able to be an intermediary that was able to keep them afloat. There was a lot of just lending and chip passing back and forth, but scale that down now to whenever you're looking at the professionals, right? Because what's happening is that they may still have that same 10 million available, but they're crowdsourcing 50% of it, 60% of it, 70% of it, right? So now that money has to be coming from all different sorts of areas, and it takes a lot more hard vouchers to be able to lend and borrow, or it takes crypto exchanges to be able to lend and borrow and things of that nature. What ultimately happens is it's not worth it whenever you're talking about playing on stream, being exposed by the camera for no additional EV, and only having X amount of time left. So you just, everybody has their fixed piggy bank to effectively play off session by session, game by game. And when it expires, they leave.
That's why I think it's genius what PokerGo's doing, because it's like that's built into the structure, right? It's already built into the structure. You have 2 buy-ins of $500,000 to play with. So that makes it, and the escalating blinds is going to continue to drive the action. So it's going to be, who knows what we're going to see, but people are going to get short, and then they're going to start playing like a tournament where they're just like open ripping and ripping over blind. We might see some crazy action for $500,000 pots here and there.
Yeah, real quick, going back to the high stakes streams and stuff like that. We know of stories where people will have money accessible to them, but not on them, where now they have to write notes and have things on pieces of paper that say, oh yeah, I owe you 100K. And that's just a very normal thing to happen in the high stakes arena, where now if you have that in this other setting, you have to be willing to take on some risk and know that sometimes you might just get slow paid or get stiffed. And that's just part of the risk that you take for keeping the game going.
There were plenty of situations where there were VIPs in town and we were playing extra big. And by all accounts, we were pretty confident that they, like 90% confident that they were as rich as they proclaimed and would pay.
Right.
And even then, we were all collectively expected to take on some risk, right?
There's always risk.
It was always a scenario of like, okay, if like a text message would just be sent to the regulars that always got to play the game. It was like, okay, if we're gonna let Johnny Hedge Fund continue to play, we need to loan him $500,000. Right. Are we all willing to split that risk?
Right.
Right.
So now it's not all put on one person.
Right. And it's it's scary in one sense because it's a lot of fucking money, right? So it might be $100K per person in that particular scenario. But on the other sense, it's like, well, that's one buy-in, right? So like you kind of have to weigh. And, fortunately in all of our time there, very few people were ever rolled as far as like being stolen from. I think that there's only one instance I can remember where a guy like wasn't who he claimed he was and ended up fucking people over for like $250,000.
Right, which for all intents and purposes for the money that was given out is a pretty clean track record. Even
clean
though it
track record and literally a drop in the bucket.
And it sounds like a huge number, but when you're playing massive and
there was millions that was
changing hands,
being exchanged on the finger, for sure.
Right.
Just like, just stacks being passed across the table.
It's just like unfathomable to the normal person that just plays 2-5 for fun.
Yeah, and I think that it's a huge fucking hurdle for these stream games because they want the games to continually get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And especially for a stream like Live at the Bike, and I think even PokerGo to a really high degree, they're very much critical about how the money is sourced. So they basically are they're basically I'm trying to be sensitive to this without like getting into too much detail, but essentially like they're not going to put themselves in a position to be a laundering service.
Right.
Yeah.
And the problem with taking that ethical line there is that you lose a lot of good action.
You lose a lot of gamble.
Yeah. You lose a lot. Yeah. You lose a lot of loose money, and you really do reduce the liquidity of the overall pool that's capable of playing these stakes.
Yeah. And there's also the inherent curve of when you start making bigger stream games bigger on Fridays, and now you're trying to have X million on the table at one time. People aren't going to be so easy to say, oh yeah, this was just a one-off, let's go back to normal 100, 200 on a Friday.
Right.
Where now you keep pushing the envelope, at some point you burst the envelope and then things revert back to normal.
I do agree. Yeah, I do agree with Brian. I think that this method that PokerGo is using is very sustainable, but as a player, I hate it. As a viewer, I'm going to fucking love it.
No, that's, for sure.
I'm going to love it. And honestly, like this game is actually big enough where I don't hate it as much because I think restricting or putting a cap on the buy-ins puts everybody on kind of a level playing field when you're playing for an ungodly sum.
Yeah.
But like adding the quote unquote ICM factor to cash games is so painful to me.
Yeah.
The beauty of this structure though is that no matter what, you're just very, very, very deep.
Very deep.
So even if you got down to like your final 100K, barring it being on day 3, you're still going to be at like 100 bigs.
What's the biggest the blinds get? 2-4?
1-2, 2K ante.
I thought it was 4. That was no.
Or sorry, 4K ante.
Yeah. It's
1-2 with a 4K ante.
Yeah.
That's a massive big.
So how does this work? Is just like the blinds go up every?
So the structure is actually really great. So I've played this before. They've done an escalator format. The difference was instead of doing it over 3 days, they did it over 3 levels. So it was 6 hours each. Every 2 hours, the stakes would change. And I hated it. I just absolutely loathed everything about it. But it wasn't meant to be very deep. We started with like, I think the times that we've done it, it was 2 15K buy-ins or maybe 2 20K, but it was relatively small.
Right.
And we started like 200 blinds effective. So it would start like 50, 100.
Was it on PokerGo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would start like 50, 100, and it would end like 2-4.
Yeah, I remember that. Right. It was like a hybrid.
Yeah. Yeah. I played it a couple of times. I really didn't enjoy it because I think it actually hurts the action.
Yeah, the fact that they're so deep makes it completely different.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was a lot smaller, probably.
Yeah, so if it would have been,
You
it
played
was
51.
So they go every half. They raise the blinds once each day.
twice, once each day.
Right.
And
So halfway
they don't
through
raise
each
the
day.
blinds; they just raise the ante. So
But the
day
blinds-
one is 500, 500, 500 ante, and then they raise it to 500, 500,
And the next
1K
day
ante.
they raise the.
Correct. Then the blinds
Blinds.
double the next day, and the ante doubles halfway through the day.
Oh,
Okay.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think the structure is actually really great because it's not that escalator format. It's not like every 2 hours you're put in a blender.
Right.
It's a 3-day long cash marathon
Yeah.
where each day the stakes are going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I feel is maybe a little bit annoying to the players in the game is that the amount of money on the table is fixed. So as the stakes go up, their win rate should naturally go up as well, but it's still pretty much capped at, if you want every chip on the table, you can only win, so much. And there is a scenario where that could potentially happen. We could see a heads up battle for 6 million on day 3. It's
That'd be
not
pretty
super
dope.
probable.
Is there? I assume there's a shot clock too.
I would imagine so, but
Yeah.
I'm not positive.
Are there any rules
It
on?
could be like facing a $3 million decision.
Actually, you're right.
Like running out.
You're
of
right. The
cards.
shot clock actually would be a very important addition to
Right,
this.
because you want to see as many hands as possible.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, you don't want. 'Cause there will be a disparity. There will be somebody who is like.
Trying to. Right.
Well,
run
there's
the clock out.
there's two things that will occur. Right. Somebody will be short, which will make them want to play slower, just
Right.
naturally.
Yep.
Somebody will be within striking distance of winning the side bet.
Right.
So to clarify for everybody at home who's not familiar, they all also put up an additional 100K side bet, and the person who wins the most over the 3 days
Gets that.
scoops that 600K side pot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of additional EV because we're estimating that like the big winner might be around $1 million. So like 60% of the big winner could. You could be increasing your win rate by like 60%.
Yeah, and all
there.
of a sudden you're ahead with 2 hours to go and you're just stalling.
Exactly.
Guys,
Right?
guys. We have a very special guest.
Special guest?
We have a very special guest on the line.
Let's go.
What is poppin', Mr. Jaffe?
Hey-o.
Oh my.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
We hear you.
What's up, guys? Pleasure to be here. I got my special Solve for Why headphones on.
All right, yeah. You're ready for Poker Out Loud.
I know you guys like to roll. I know you can only be in there with these type of Bose headphones, so I got a special pair for this. Really excited to be here, guys.
Look, listen, the truth of the matter was that Amazon was running a Prime Day special, and I bought 6. That's the facts.
What's poppin', man? How you like your new job? What's going on with the commentary?
Oh man, what a week. What a week. No idea what to expect. I get thrown in the booth first time ever just to see Phil get eviscerated. I mean, come on. Like, I don't think people understand how good I ran in so many ways. I have to get thrown in the booth there. Phil has to like lose that hand. That hand doesn't have to play. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's so many. It's the best I've ever ran in my life by far.
He's folded kings before. He could have done it again.
Oh, man.
He could have just folded the river. Like
Yeah.
like he like Berkey said, the man wanted out. He wanted he wanted no more. He got his wish, and we got ours too.
We definitely did. Like, how did that come about? How did you just get into the booth? Like,
Robbi. So I met Robbi. Joey Ingram introduced me to her in Vegas like a month ago, and I told her, I was like, hey, like we were talking, and I was like, hey, can you like help me make some money off the Twitter stuff? Like my wife is bugging me, and she's like, oh yeah, I got you. Like I'm gonna book you some gigs, and I was like, okay, like, and then literally the night I found out I got the PCA or whatever package, she texted me saying, hey, do you want to do commentary for Live at the Bike?
what a sick day.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is I was like, no. I didn't say no, but I said, can I say whatever I want? But yeah, I was literally texting with her, and I saw this braggy video. It was a great night, but not as good as Tuesday night. Not as good as Valentine's Day. That was one of the best nights of my life.
It was a treat for sure.
I have many questions. So first of all, let's talk about your perception of the game as a whole. So from the commentator standpoint, because you got to watch all of the hands. I haven't gone back and watched the footage yet. You were there for 3 full days. You got to see all of this play out. What is your perception of? We'll leave Phil last. What's your first of all your perception of Robbi now compared to Robbi at Hustler?
I mean, obviously, it's super confusing. I don't really know what to say other than she just played really tight. And I only really watched the stream where she played with Garrett, and she was obviously playing way differently. I don't really know how to gauge that. I thought that was kind of obvious. But my perception of her hasn't really changed at all.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page there. Well, actually, my perception may have changed a little bit in the sense that she truly is like a way sweeter individual than she came across in a lot of those interviews. But my overall perception of her, like as far as like a poker player and any involvement in this, whole kerfuffle at Hustler or whatever, has still pretty much remained the same. It's an anomaly. Nothing makes any fucking sense to me, and I don't have any answers. But it's definitely a weird fucking hand, and it's a weird body of work as far as like the hands that have been played prior and thereafter.
Yeah, it's definitely unpredictable, but she was always unpredictable. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I came in expecting something.
Yeah.
Like to me, it kind of her character is the same. And I would also say, just talking with her and stuff, like I wouldn't have done it if I didn't like her. I wouldn't have meeting her and didn't kind of like her personality. I wouldn't have said yes to do it. You know what I mean? Through her. Yeah.
All right. Second question. Why did you have to do me so dirty on the hand versus the driver where he just drills the fucking jack on the turn and you're out there slinging it like this man is just the gangster of all gangsters with the jack deuce?
Dude, because I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and the driver's got jack deuce, and he's throwing like a 2x over bet on the river against you, and you just got a 10, and I'm like, this man, it hasn't taken him too long to just figure out exactly what Berkey has, taking him to the most ultimate pure school of like old school rally car value town. And you have to understand that hand, I thought he had jack deuce. I just thought he was like going nuts, but then got in the matrix and figured out what you had. And if he had jack deuce, that's just like one of the best hands ever. You know what I mean? I understand he didn't have jack deuce, but I thought he had jack deuce when I saw the hand. I never realized until afterwards, until I talked to you, that he had jack 10.
Yeah, I know it wasn't your fault. I just wanted you to explain. I went back. That was like one of the few hands I went back and watched. And I was just like, this looks so goddamn ridiculous. Where there's like this one card being misread or whatever the case may be, where somehow he had jack deuce on the graphics, but actually had jack 10. Even in real time. Well, what makes it even worse is I call River. I see his hand. And I go, whoa, that was a thin value bet. And what I meant was for the sizing, not in general. Obviously, Jack 10 should bet there. But if you don't see his hand tabled, which I guess the stream didn't.
No, we didn't see it.
And you all think that it's Jack Deuce. Now my comment even like further corroborates.
Yeah, that he actually had Jack
Deuce.
Deuce.
Just a sicko.
Yeah, you thought that was a thin value bet? What do you think I was thinking? It was the best play I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man.
It was painful to see a jack duck there from just like first
that was
observer.
a really fun hand to watch live.
Yeah.
So fun to watch live.
How does he just do this to you?
Last question. What was your overall impression of doing commentary for the first time? This is the first time you've done it, right?
Yeah, I've never done it before. I was blown away by how fun it was. I do try to watch some of these poker streams, but I don't really ever like get that into the hand aspect of it. And I did not expect that. Like I came in with one very specific, obvious, like sort of understanding that I wasn't going to talk strategy, you know? And then I'm in there and I'm watching the hands and all of a sudden, like everything is super interesting to me. So that was shocking, honestly. Yeah. That was really what I didn't expect to see. And also it's so funny because like, everybody was telling me like, oh, you're going to go in there, like you're going to be alone. Like, how are you going to talk so much? I was like, I don't think people realize like my problem on the stream it wasn't talking too much. It was I talk too much naturally. You know what I mean? Like the problem was I don't know how to stop talking, honestly. And my wife beforehand was like, "Yeah, we got to get you out of here." Like I talk. She doesn't even really let me talk to her through extended periods of time because I talk so much. So being able to do that by the third night, I kind of got my reins in a little. But yeah, it was just so much fun. I couldn't really believe it. And you have to understand, like without really setting it up, without preparing, just getting in there. My first night is the Helmuth blow up. Like, I mean, come on, like it was completely surreal.
Yo, is the driver actually Ubering you to the airport right now? I mean, you look like you're on a rally course.
It looked like he went over a bunch of speed bumps.
I cannot confirm if the driver may actually be an Uber driver. I think that got a little messed up in his profile, but I may be in the driver's backseat right now. He's very cautious. We're in traffic right now. We're in LA traffic. I'm hoping we get on some back roads and he can open it up a little.
I was going to make a request that your next tough convo was for the driver, but I think you just kind of nailed it right there. There's nothing more to really be said about it.
Yeah, sorry, driver. Sorry for exposing you, man. You're a great rally car, but right now we're stuck in LA traffic and we just kind of got to do the speed limit.
Do you have intentions of doing this again?
Oh yeah. I mean, anybody, like it was so much fun, dude. Like it's just like you gotta understand. Like I've been playing poker. I've just been playing like live poker. You know the shift of playing like a live PLO game in Ben Salem versus going in the booth and like getting to call that game on Valentine's Day was like. Can you even imagine that type of like shift in excitement? Especially if I'm somebody that doesn't like really love like playing poker. But I like to talk, you know, and I like it was a crazy week. I'm still kind of like, it almost feels like you win a big tournament or something. You don't really know what happened. Like that's what I feel. I just feel like I hit the Sunday Million or something, honestly.
That's awesome.
What was yesterday's stream like? I didn't get a chance to catch it, but obviously the streams kind of de-escalated throughout the week. Was the action?
Yeah, so that was another big thing that actually really worked out well was because I mean, it was such a rush because that Helmuth hand happened very quickly, sort of. It didn't really seem that way, but he was gone for the table and then he was back. So it all kind of happened quickly. And I was so caught up in the moment that like once it passed, I was just like, all right, well, what are we going to do for the rest of the week? You know, like, yeah. But quickly I was reminded that we still had Berkey in the game and we still had to play. And it ended up being extremely surprising to me how good the game was through the whole week, honestly. And the game with you, I mean, like, I'm sorry that you had to fall on the sword, but sure. There was a lot of entertaining hands. Like, you know, it wasn't just you. Like, you know, the driver, the ace jack off hand. I really loved calling that hand against Al. I know it was frustrating for you to have those 3 minutes of your life taken away, but you know, it was, and then the game yesterday was just like, it was like a content creator game. You know what I mean? So yeah. It was almost like a nice come down because the stakes were much smaller. It was much more like relaxed, but it was also like, that's a big game for that kid, Frankie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I met him with Joey in Vegas. So I really felt like through the whole week, like the cool thing is when you're in there in the booth, like it's hard to describe, but you feel like you're really feeling the player's emotions, kind of. I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of like an out-of-body experience, honestly.
So what did you feel when Berkey saw aces?
I was just, that happened very quickly. That escalated quickly. And all I was thinking about is, my God, Berkey has literally been needled to death about playing the Jack 4 bounty after dusting off 100 to Eric the previous night. And today they ask him to do the Jack 4 bounty, but he says, no, it's not going to make the game big enough. So he requests straddles instead. I really tried to convey this in stream, but I just don't have like the Nick or Alley like flair to just get it in there. But I don't think people understood. Like, you were the one who increased the size of the game. It instantly bloated the pot to a point where you just got mega coolered. But and in big blinds, it's not that bad, but in money, it's just a shit ton of money. You know, it's like, dude, like you guys were playing 100, 200 some hands. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And that money just rips in. But I mean, just as a fan of poker, as a fan of the stream, like it's just incredibly entertaining, you know? And I'm sorry that your blood had to be sort of our enjoyment, but it could have been anyone's.
It's what I'm here for, man. I don't mind. I regret the Jack 4 hand. I don't regret not having the bounty on the second. They come in and they're like, we're playing 1-2-4 almost every single hand, and they're like, come on, let's do the Jack 4 bounty. I'm like, look around, man. Just look around.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to be the one to play the Jack 4?
I also think like at the poker table, there's not always the best personalities. And sometimes when a needle runs its course, it's not even that you like, it's not even that you're like, that you care that much. It's just annoying,
Yeah.
And it felt like you were getting annoyed, not only because they kept doing it and it wasn't that funny, but you were also annoyed because it wasn't even going to accomplish what you wanted, which was like to get your money back, to play right. To bump the stakes. You're like, I'm getting needled. It's not even funny anymore, and it's not even going to make the game bigger. It's probably just going to induce me to like make a bad 3-bet out of position or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's like what do you? So you just immediately ask for the straddle. You get your wish. You just get this absurd setup hand. It like happens so quickly. It was. I mean, that's the thing is these hands happen naturally. Like there's a lot of randomness and like. I consider that run good for me as a commentator because the more that shit happens, the less I have to do, Like I'm just in there fucking sweating with everybody.
No, it's very true. It's calming almost whenever there's enough action for you to just be like, are you guys seeing this shit? You're watching with me, right?
It's like calming, like the way taking MDMA is calming. Like you just feel really good, Like you don't have to do anything. You just feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. For what it's worth, just to clarify, I wasn't actually annoyed with Ozzy tanking. He's just such a nice fucking guy and does no wrong. And he's so good at the game that, like, me being able to pick on him for being slow in a moment where, like, it's obvious that he did nothing wrong.
It wasn't even him being slow. It was just that he had 3-4 of spades.
Well, yeah, that just makes him slow. He's never folding. But like it was just an opportunity to kind of bust his chops because the truth of the matter is nobody plays faster. Like he just plays ridiculously fast in most all decisions. And when he takes time, he should absolutely be afforded that time. But I also know, as well as he knows, that he's always calling in that spot. So it's kind of like one of those scenarios where it's like, who else's balls am I going to bust at the table? I keep calling the driver a professional and he doesn't even want to acknowledge that I exist anymore. And, Eric Hicks is stone sober and on a 20K downswing right now, so he's not super chatty either. What's left?
God, he's the best.
Yeah, wins 300 the day before, loses 20K the next day. Can't squeeze a word out of him.
Eric's the best. How does he just sun run all these situations also?
He plays well.
I know he does, but how does he sun run these situations?
Yeah. Where to next, Dankness?
I don't know. I'm supposed to go to Cherokee tonight at like 11 p.m. It's like a super long flight. I was like a week ago, I was super excited to go to the series out there. It's like a really fun PLO series. I do really like it out there. It's not a PLO series, but there's PLO games, cash games. But now I feel like I might as well be flying to Haiti tonight after the week I just had,
Yeah. And maybe it's a little large for tournaments, but PokerGo is doing a PLO series coming up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love watching David Peters kind of do his thing, just think about spots, but I don't really want to sit next to him.
Right.
Tournaments with like 8 other people. But I'm sure
you don't want to watch him think in person.
No, I did enough of that. That was my whole PCA experience. That was why, people are like, how are you going to complain about that? I'm like, because I had to sit next to David Peters for 10 hours.
Sorry.
The
turtleneck master.
The turtleneck master. Speaking of turtleneck masters, what's going on, Landon? Late night. I kind of wanted the details on that. What did we do last night? Because what's up with the gear today?
No, I've been dealing with the sinus infection. So
yeah, nothing exciting. He's just sick.
Yeah, just sick. There's this bright light right in front of me. So the glasses, Brian's Versace glasses.
Those are nice glasses, though. Don't you agree?
These are a rare artifact. This is circa like 2006.
Those are my circa 2008 main event glasses.
We have a picture of Brian playing the main event with these glasses,
with a full tilt track jacket on.
I just turned on the pod. I actually scrolled through a couple of your pods this morning, and the last one I see is like Landon hosting in like a poker gear, and he's super excited. Now he just looks like he's been on like a bender for a week.
Yo, the week gets long by Friday,
like
man.
Rockstar, yeah.
Yeah, the week gets very long by Fridays.
It really does. We only did 4 days today. We had the pod that we taped, like we did 2, but we've only did 4 pods, but it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
It's been a full week. Yeah, you've been living the retired life, and now you're unretired again.
I don't know if this entices you at all, Will, but instead of Cherokee, there's a nice WSOP circuit series going on here. We got a 1700 main event this weekend. Mm-hmm. You know, you might want to
no turtleneck masters in that.
Come swing your dick around a little bit.
Tortoise.
Yeah, there's a tortoise.
Not really. I did want to apologize to the turtle. I mean the tortoise. I think I called him the turtle a few times.
You did.
It's the tortoise, right?
That's right. It's the tortoise.
Also known as
it was
Tahoe.
great because you're like, yeah, shout out to the Only Friends crew. We got Landon, we got Conrad and Berkey, and that funny guy they call Turtle.
Yeah, I'm sorry about. Honestly,
No,
man,
hey, I'll take it.
Genuinely sorry about that, man.
No apology necessary.
That one's on me. That was one of my biggest regrets on stream.
It was a great experience, but the one thing you can't get over is calling him the turtle.
Right. If that was your only mistake, you did very well.
Are you ready for Poker Out Loud now?
Poker Out Loud?
Yeah, I feel like you should be on.
I don't like wearing these headphones that much. Honestly, they're kind of uncomfortable. I'm happy to call in you guys, but that's like. Other than like late night when I don't want to, I just want to hear some music. I can't really wear these headphones. So.
Oh, great, man.
All right, I'll get you out on this one, but I'd be remiss if I don't ask. Where did the tough combos originate from, and can we expect more?
Yeah, like those. I really, it's a combination of things, but okay, a couple things. Joey had me on his podcast. Way back in the day, like you remember the first Joey pods? Like I was not one of the, like one of the, when he was first starting. And I remember one of the things that I really liked was I went on this Burning Man rant on there, about how annoying I thought it was that like poker players would like come up to me, and be like, hey man, like I just really think like, if you're around, like you should really check out Burning Man. It's like an amazing experience. Like you just let me just put it this way, man, you just gotta feel the burn. And I would just look at them and I'd just be so like I would just, my insides would want to explode because I knew if I saw them a week later, they'd just like give me some angry grunt and head nod, but now they want me to go to the desert and do MDMA. It was like the most classic poker player experience. So I ranted about that on Joey's pod, and like 50 people came up to me randomly after that I would see in casinos and be like, dude, that Burning Man rant was so on point. And I was like, fuck, that's so nice that I wasn't the only one who had to experience that,
I'm with you, by the way.
Yeah.
Fast forward, like I'm on Twitter, Fedor is like just eviscerating the poker scene, and a couple months go by and he hasn't won any like Triton or whatever that they had, going. And I just see a tweet from him like, tough couple months or something. Sometimes you have to head into the woods and regroup and have some difficult conversations with your friends or something. And I just got so triggered by it. I was like, yeah, like we're going to start having difficult conversations, Fedor, like as much as possible. Anytime I get triggered, I'm just going to go off on my phone on Twitter. And that's basically that's basically how it happened.
We are very thankful for Fedor.
Wow, I never thought I would have to thank Fedor for
There
this.
will be more,
so
right?
thankful.
There will be more?
Yeah, but there will be more, but also people need to understand, like, I can't manufacture them.
No,
like,
right. It's an organic thing, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have a tough conversation downswing where you have 3 months no tough combos and a week of just a storm.
The man just has to be triggered.
You've been riled up for too long.
Right. So everyone out there, please trigger dankness so we can get more tough combos.
Yeah, so that's the thing I've realized is I do go through some tough combo downswings, and the worst thing I can do is try to force it, like it'd be like, oh, it's been 2 months, like I got to put out some content.
Trust me, with this community, with this community, I don't think you'll have to worry about having material. Somebody's gonna trigger you along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, this week was a serious blast. This week was so much fun. Thank you, Berkey, for joining us on stream.
I'm happy to play the role, man. I feel very fortunate that I faded a tough convo up until this point. I think now that you've been on our show, I'm pretty much in the clear for good. So thank you for sparing me. I know I've given you plenty of material that you managed to overlook. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, you've been walking on the coals, but you haven't stepped into the fire, and good on you for doing that. That's impressive.
That is exactly the line that I try to toe.
His feet are hot.
No, you do, and honestly, and this is another thing about the stream that was really cool, was that there were all these different angles and stories, and I thought one of the coolest ones, which I did not expect at all, was honestly, bro, the streamer, Kevin Martin.
Oh yeah.
He came ready to die.
Yeah,
like
100%.
He literally came to the stream ready to die. I don't know if it was like a strategic thing where he was like, these guys are going to think I'm the tightest dude ever. I play $100, 50, like whatever tournaments. He bluffed into Eric in the most suicidal kamikaze spot ever. Survived, a night after calling out Helmuth for like ruining his week. Like it just... There were a lot of different side stories going on. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was really entertaining. I do really feel like I ran extremely pure, honestly.
Yeah. Kevin won $72,000 and then got his travel expenses paid for by Phil Helmuth.
Amazing.
Yeah, the best thing was like, did that Helmuth video come out after his win? Like, because I saw it after his win, and I'm like, dude, this guy's good. He's okay. He's doing fine, Phil. Like, but maybe it was just like the delay on the stream or something. Before,
yeah.
Okay.
It was the motivation Kevin needed to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if he went broke, he could still get away back home.
Yeah. I told Berkey he should try to get his travel expenses paid by Phil, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Someone's gonna need to start greasing my fucking palms, man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Berkey needs a little bit more love, in the game running industry. I'm gonna try to pull some strings for him because, dude, you're not the worst player to watch play.
No.
Entertainment-wise,
I do what I can.
But I also do want to say that lineup, regardless of drivers, whatever, it was a very good lineup, in my opinion. The driver, I really enjoyed watching him play. You didn't see all the cards, but like it was interesting what he was doing. And that hand against what's his face against Al, I saw Al after that. I'm not so sure Al was always calling there, honestly. I think Al was really thinking about making a hero fold because when I was calling that in the booth, I got really excited because I'm like, the driver could use the ace of spades here, the naked ace. But in my head, I was like, there's no way he's going to fucking do it. And then I just see him cut out 70K and put it in. And I was, that was another moment where it's just like, you don't know what's going to happen when you're watching it. And you're calling it. It was just, it was a ride, man.
Yeah, I would love to play that game every day, despite my track record.
I know people probably think I need a break. I would love to commentate that game every day.
we might be able to make something work. Relocate the family to Vegas. We might be able to get this going.
We'll talk. Well, I don't know about all that, but with the technology out there, we'll get something going.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right. It is actually quite ridiculous to have you on site, to be quite frank.
Yeah, it's like you're in this little booth. It's so weird, like you're like in this little like dungeon almost, and like you almost feel like you're in like some form of like not hell, but like you're underneath, like, you know what I mean? Like you're the devil pulling the strings. Like I legitimately felt like I was looking into players' souls when I was in there. When I was getting off.
So that's what that was. I knew I felt a little violated. I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, no, I was inside your soul there a little.
Yeah.
It was fun, honestly.
Yeah, it's been great to have you inside me, Will. Thank you.
Anytime, Burke.
Thank you so much for your 3 days on commentary. I enjoyed the little bit that I got to watch. Thank you for calling in. This was long overdue. Next time you're in Vegas, please let me know so we can actually have you in studio and do a proper sit down. We're gonna let you guys. Let you make it safely to the airport.
Up, but I do want to apologize to the tortoise one more time. I really am
You're
sorry
good,
about
man.
Tell Yang to get you there safe.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.
See you,
man. Thanks.
See you, Will.
Dang this, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank this
He's
man.
He's
fucking
fucking
man.
great.
He really is the best.
Nobody's ever going to call me a turtle again. This is great. Everyone's got it right now.
I'm really glad that he acknowledged that I've been walking a fine line between getting a tough convo and reeling it in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously.
it's obvious. Yeah.
even Stevie Wonder can see that. Fuck out of here.
Well, what it signifies to me is that like I'm right just enough in my outrageous takes that he can't really nail me yet.
Yep.
Nail me to the
It's
cross.
coming, don't worry.
It is coming for sure.
You're just gonna fall.
Well,
off that line.
it gives me more of a push forward to see how far I can take
You know
it.
what would be great? If he does a tough conversation with you in person on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be great.
He ambushes you.
Just a complete ambush.
I'm here for an ambush. I'm here for anything at this point. It's all good content.
Yep.
I do want to wrap up. I know we had many other topics to talk about, but I think we can just we can push them to Monday. I do want to kind of put a bow on this No Gamble, No Future high stakes game. It starts live streaming in 2 hours on PokerGo's YouTube channel. So this is a very important highlight, I think, from my perspective as a consumer and somebody in the industry, that they are going to be putting day one fully for free on YouTube.
That's great.
That's good.
Huge.
It's a W.
It's a move.
In 1 week, what do we think the view count is?
Million. 500,000. Conservatively, 500,000.
Okay.
So they got Antonius, Rob Young, Roble, Darkus, Eric Person, and MJ.
Yes. Do you know Darkus?
Yeah.
He's the best.
So
I met him very briefly, and he is a legend.
So
He's great.
I had that seat if I could rally up the troops and find $1.1 million.
It's hard to find 1.1 million just laying around.
I had 12 hours.
In a half a day.
I had 12 hours to get it done.
Right.
I did not get it done. Darkus did get it done. So he is now the man in the arena. And I'm going to sit on the sidelines happily doing some commentary.
We'll see what those cards.
Oh, you're doing commentary?
No, just in my own head.
Mental commentary.
So we'll for sure revisit this game on Monday, catch up on all the action. They're gambling big. Like I said, 100K side bet. So the biggest winner is going to win 600K on the side. The way that the structure works is you have two 500K bullets. You can take them both at once or one individually. You can't add on in increments though. So you can't do like 500K and then add on 100, whatever. It's 500 and 500 regardless. I think there's a lot of strategy to this format. I think that there is a lot of decisions to be made as far as your seat positioning, when to take the reload, if to take it.
Can you add on the 500? Sorry to cut you off. Can you add the 500 no matter whether you're up or down? At just any point.
Yep.
If you're up, if you're up 500, you have $1 million for you.
You could if you want. Yeah.
Other question is,
Sure
do you have to add on if you go bust?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. I think you could quit at any time, but you sacrifice the side bet. So
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Whoever's
I like
winning
that.
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. If you quit, you lose 100x.
There could be scenarios where like it's
yeah,
profitable to
600
quit.
maybe.
Yeah, you're just up a whole shitload of money. Stakes are going up. And
No. Because you could just viably still win the side bet if that's true. You could just fold your way out. You don't have to quit. Like, why give up all the EV of the side bet if you're if you're chip leading at that point? But what I was saying is there could be a scenario where like maybe you're winning 300 or 400, but like you just have the absolute worst seat, and the stakes are about to raise. So it's just like I'll take a 200K win instead of a 300K
I hope
win.
we don't see that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I don't think in this lineup anybody would do that.
I don't think they would either.
They would never be invited back to another lineup ever again.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I don't know. I mean, this is a special one-off, but I do think that there's a lot of strategy involved because, like, say you lose, say like on day one you lose 300,000 out of the gate. Well, you're still 400 big blinds effective at 200K. Do you add on? Right? My instinct would be no. Like, I would imagine my strategy would be never adding on day one or maybe even day two.
Yeah.
I might like just always have the reserve. It's
nice to have the reserve.
How many big blinds is it for day three? The 500K?
250.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that I would just I think my strat would be just to play normal poker, obviously, and take all the spots, but there would be a little bit of a ICM factor where I was just trying to also make sure that my second bullet got through to day three.
Yeah.
So you don't really care what happens on the first bullet, but you want to try to not go broke prior to day three. I also wonder if the seating is going to stay the same. or if they're going to draw seats every day.
They should probably draw every day,
I think
right?
they should draw. I think that's
the only
more
fair way to do it.
Right.
Well, yes and no. Because it discourages anybody. So, like, say you get the Jesus seat
then
day
at
one.
the end of the day, you could also try to stall and run out the clock.
No,
Not-
I wasn't
not play
thinking
hands.
that.
Oh,
But that's true too.
yeah.
So hopefully there's a shot clock to prevent that. But what I was thinking is it
You might also just tighten up.
it doesn't allow you to make very good decisions as far as reloading goes. So now nobody should reload, basically. Like, so if I know I'm in the Jesus seat for 3 days,
so you wouldn't reload at the end of the session.
yeah. If I'm in, well, not even that, but if I'm in the Jesus seat for 3 days, right? I might take my million right up front and just say, like, I'm sitting with all of it because, like, I have the absolute best seat in the house.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. But if I have the worst seat, I'm never gonna take it. But if I know that we're redrawing, like, now I'm just gonna try to play super tight that day and get a better draw the next day,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
I just think, like, these are small things that maybe they considered, maybe they didn't. I don't really know. But it's interesting for us to kind of, like, dissect from the sidelines.
Yep.
It's kind of cool because, no one's thought about this really.
There's strategy. There's a lot of layers of strategy to it. And at the end of the day, there's $6.6 million up for grabs. There is a viable chance we could only see one winner. There's a viable chance we see 2 winners, right? Like,
I want someone to win it all.
yeah, I mean, it would be fucking great, right? It would be
so
super
amazing.
sick for TV.
I mean, we have 5 of us here. I think we should all take a pick.
It actually would be pretty hard, though, because, like, if you got down to, say, heads up on day 3, and the only way I think somebody wins it all is if, like, there's a massive chip disparity. So, like, if you just bust everybody up to the heads up, and now all of a sudden you have, like, 5 million to his 1 million, maybe you could beat him out of it, but still you're 500 blinds effective.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You almost need a scenario where, like, the guy who quote unquote wins it all never allows anybody else to get over 500K.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone just keeps getting shorter and shorter, and they keep winning it all.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm really pumped for it. Do you guys have any predictions? Who's the big winner?
I mean, odds-on favorite for either dusting it all or winning is probably Person.
Definitely true.
I'm going to go.
Odds-on favorite for straight winning, probably MJ.
Yeah,
Or
that's what I was going
Robo.
with.
Winning
I
the
was
biggest
thinking
amount?
MJ.
Just winning overall, yeah.
No. I'm asking.
No.
Obviously, there are going to be winners and losers. That doesn't matter. I'm asking who is most likely to win all the money.
Yeah, Eric.
I'm going to go with my boy Marcus.
Okay.
Let's go, Marcus.
I don't mind Marcus as a pick to click there.
Me neither.
I truly don't think that MJ or Robo are the biggest winners almost ever, outside of just, like, massively strong card distribution.
Yeah.
And I say that with the caveat of then following that up with, I think they have the 2 biggest win rates in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. Right.
But
side bet makes it interesting.
Yeah.
To win it all, you got to kind of get out of line.
The
Like,
side bet-
really
A
out
little
of line.
A little
The
bit.
side
yeah.
bet means you have to go for it, kind of, though, right? Like, in a sense.
It depends. I mean, like,
It's all strategic, like different points of the game. Like,
yeah, and it's also just, like, the risk reward aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? So, like, you're only risking 100.
yeah, it's
So
true.
it's like you don't really, if you're up, like, call it 600K, you don't want to then double down on that risk
Yeah.
to win. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
make
all
it.
strategic movement throughout the game.
There's
I
a
like
lot
it. I like
of
this.
small moving parts.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
But the irony or the intricacy of all this is that you don't get to pick and choose when the close spots come up.
yeah,
So those close spots could come up very, very early in the session, right? And maybe you're forced to, or you feel like you're forced to take it because you have another bullet, or because, like, this gives you a head start on the side bet or whatever. That same close spot comes up on day 3. Maybe it's like an auto pass.
yeah, or
right?
auto take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all
Yeah,
depends
so,
on the
like,
game.
that kind of narrative throughout, that underlying side bet throughout, is going to be really fascinating.
I'm excited.
I definitely agree that I think that Person is the most likely to be the big winner, but also the most likely to go bust. I think he's just a hero 0 in this spot, and we'll, like, for sure go for the side bet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Marcus wins every dollar on the table. Now that I think about it.
Sure.
Yeah, I started thinking about it for a minute.
I think
and-
Rob Young's a dark horse. This
Wow.
man retired me once. I've seen it. I've seen what he can do, man. I've seen what he can do. He's not gonna take any fucking hands off. That's for sure. He tried to retire Keating. The stakes just weren't big enough.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's, like, one of the most epic high stakes hands ever fucking played. Keating just, like, overbet rips one pair, and Rob is just like, I call. And just drills it. But But yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of this. Looking forward to talking about it on Monday. We will be back normal time Monday. Talk about all things high stakes poker. We'll be talking about Doug Polk's weight loss bet.
We'll be talking about Tortuga out there in the Valley Horseshoe, Maine this weekend.
That's right. We are going to be talking about the
day
circuit.
2. I won't be here on Monday. I'll be in day 2.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
And we will also be reminding you that we have 2 academies coming up. One April 15th, Poker Out Loud Style Academy. One May 24th, MTT Style Academy.
Another seat just went for the
MTT,
Poker Out Loud.
we're back.
So they're going.
So the Poker Out Loud one is going fast. The MTT one is up for grabs. It's going to be a pre-World Series event. So be sure to head over to academy.solvefory.io if you're interested in that. Until Monday morning, we'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Later.
Peace.